All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this winter evening. I know when it hits 7 o'clock, it feels so late, and I'm always so impressed by people who sign on to do a program of any kind. So thank you for sharing your time with us this evening. My name is Lizzie Cunningham. I am the experience coordinator for Women for Healthy Rural Living, which we will just shorten for brevity's sake to WHIRL. I want to begin by thanking you for your interest in World Summit for a Cause. Summit for a Cause is a guided hike up Katahdin, which is the tallest mountain in Maine. And it really is a unique fundraiser for our nonprofit. So, hiking up this iconic mountain will be truly a once in a lifetime opportunity for many. It provides participants with a rich, rewarding, and memorable experience. But the real benefits of this event go even further. So participants support our World's Elaine Hill Memorial Nursing Scholarship, which provides financial assistance to Washington and Hancock County residents who are pursuing a post-secondary nursing education. That's either an associate degree or a BS. So Elaine Hill Memorial nursing scholarships are up to $2,500 and they are renewable for up to 3 additional years. This really is a wonderful opportunity to honor a nurse in your life, and who out of us, no one doesn't know a wonderful nurse or many wonderful nurses. So, a little bit about Whirl before we get into the kind of meat of our program tonight. We are a small grassroots nonprofit in Millbridge, Maine. Our mission is to advance and promote the health and well-being of the woman, her family, and her community. So we have four focus areas: hunger and food security. We address this via Incredible Edible Millbridge, a series of free pick your own vegetable gardens. We provide opportunities for exercise and physical activity via yoga, bone builders classes, Tai Chi, the Millbridge Commons Wellness Park walking trail, and Outdoor Women Lead, which is a series of monthly outings led by a registered Maine guide, specifically the registered Maine guide who is on the call with us today. That's Hazel, who you'll hear from shortly. We foster community connections through most of our programs, but especially through our recurring programming, such as our regular book discussion groups, our community craft circle, our mending cafe, our weekly infant and toddler play group, among many other programs. And lastly, we afford access to nature. So World created the Millbridge Commons Wellness Park in collaboration with the Maine Coast Heritage Trust in 2018 to provide our community with ample opportunities to experience the wonders of our beautiful natural surroundings here in Down East Maine. Our full schedule of garden programs for individuals and families encourages our community members to experience the beauty of where we live. All donations from Summit for a Cause will go directly towards the Elaine Hill Memorial Nursing Scholarship. So even by considering pursuing this Summit for a Cause, it's a really wonderful thing that you're all are even thinking about it. So thank you so much. Um, a little bit more info about Whirl. We were founded in 2004 by nurse practitioner and now director Chris Cooney, and we opened in 2005. We were initially kind of billed as a health lending library. We made a neat pivot from the Women's Health Resource Library to Women for Healthy Rural Living. And we quickly pivoted to include a community-driven agenda that prioritizes community needs through programming and a variety of other initiatives. Research shows that women are the primary healthcare consumers for their families still. So, by targeting our message to women, we hope to impact the health and wellness of the entire family and the entire community. Our organization takes a preventative approach to the many health issues and disparities in Western Washington County. Our goal really is to provide an equitable and an accessible path to health and wellness. We address the foundational elements of health as they pertain to the unique needs of our Down East neighbors. While the majority of our programs are open to all, Summit for a Cause, OWL, Outdoor Women Lead, our book groups, and our women's retreats are open to anyone for whom woman is a meaningful identifier or lived experience. And I think I should also say here too that the vast majority of our programming is free. I mean, we make it open to the community for free. And so initiatives like Summit for a Cause is really a way for you as wider community members to help the work that we do in our Down East communities. Any questions before we get into the details of our hike about any of the work here we do at Whirl? I know that was some rapid fire information.
Oh, we're good.
Mhm. All right. Well, great. You want to take it over, Hazel?
Yes. Hello, everybody. Lovely to see some familiar faces as well as some new ones. So, I'll give a little overview of Maine Outdoor School and my role in this, and a little bit more about Katahdin. So, I co-founded Maine Outdoor School in 2016, so 10 years ago now, and I became sole owner of the business last year. I have a great team of two other naturalist educators and an administrative supporter as well. And so we are really aimed at getting people of all ages outside to be curious and build outdoor skills and build resilience in themselves and their communities. So we primarily provide custom standards aligned programming at public schools across Eastern Maine, but also provide professional development and guided experiences. So the way that I show up for Whirl mostly is as a guide. And I hiked Katahdin for the first time when I was 13. And guiding this annual hike is a professional highlight of each year for me. It's such an amazing time. This will be my fifth year doing it for Whirl as a guide, which is amazing also that that much time has passed. I'm a wilderness first responder and a registered Maine guide. And so those are two kind of important certifications for being qualified to be able to go up Katahdin, and that Baxter requires as well. Um, and so I also, in addition to those certifications, I have ample nature knowledge to keep you learning about the amazing ecology and geology that's all around you while you're catching your breath on the way up. So that's a little bit about me and Maine Outdoor School, and Lizzie and I will certainly open it up to questions in a little bit to if you have more questions about any of that. But I do want to go over the basic overview of hiking Katahdin. So hiking Katahdin is no easy feat. The hike is limited to 10 people. So that is a Baxter State Park rule. So it will be me, a sweep person, Larissa, who was our sweep last year as well and has participated in Summit for a Cause as a participant in other years as well. She's a wilderness first aid certified person. So her and me, I'll be in the front, she'll be in the back, and then 10 women in between us, because the max group size is 12 in Baxter. And so the couple of pieces that are important little logistics is first that you need to commit to fundraising $1,650 by July 1st, either raising that funding through your networks like peer-to-peer, donating the cost yourself, or engaging in a hybrid of those two options. And Lizzie can always tell you more about that. And then also, once you have done the application process, I interview people, usually over the phone or video, on either March 17th or March 18th. And I will send out options for that once we've gotten applications in so that you can select your time. And there will also be a Katahdin training hike up Tunk Mountain, which is a much smaller mountain, much less intense mountain, but it's an opportunity to get to know each other a few weeks before the Katahdin hike itself, and also to really give us a chance to understand if you're ready, both for you to assess if you're ready and for me to assess if you're ready. And then for folks to be able to be in Millinocket, Maine from Friday afternoon, July 31st to Sunday morning, August 2nd. The hike itself will be on Saturday, August 1st. And then we also need folks to obtain a doctor's note that certifies your physical ability to hike up Katahdin. So those are some logistics to know about. And what we also know is that weather is often unpredictable in Maine year round. And so the goal is always to summit the mountain if the conditions are safe, even in the rain. So if the conditions are dangerous, though, like if there's a high chance of thunderstorms, we may have to turn back before the mountain summit. Or if there's an injury or just things don't go as planned, we may have to turn back. So we have to do it in one day, and we will end up with permits for that day. So there won't really be flexibility about like, oh, can we just do it Sunday instead? Like we won't, that won't be an option if that's the day. And we typically plan to travel to be on the trail from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. is always what I estimate. And we'll be staying at the Katahdin Lodge at the Big Moose Inn Cabins and Campground, where rooms and meals will be shared. Lodging and meals will be provided as part of the experience, so there's no additional cost to you. We only ask that you bring along your own snacks and lunch for the hike itself, as we really want to make sure you have what you need for food and the energy and that you need for something that's strenuous. So the first phase of the application process is just to get a sense of who you are, your hiking capability, and then secure your commitment to the trip. And the application fee of $100 includes a $75 deposit, which will be returned to you if you're not selected, and a non-refundable $25 application processing fee. So that is a little bit more about those logistics. Lizzie, do you want to do the fundraising FAQ next?
Yeah, wonderful. So fundraising. So as a participant in Summit for a Cause, you're going to be fundraising from April through July 1st. The hike again is July 31st through August 2nd. We understand that peer-to-peer fundraising, also called crowd fundraising, may be a new model for some folks. This may be your first experience with this. Peer-to-peer fundraising gives you a chance to invite others to support your cause, to support Whirl's cause, and learn more about Whirl's work. So in doing so, they and you are helping our community in Down East Maine thrive. Of course, some folks choose to pay for all or part of the participation fee themselves, and that is wonderful if that's something you choose to do. If this is still something you may be interested in pursuing, know that we will support you during the whole fundraising process. You'll receive your own fundraising page that is easy to share. In addition, you'll receive a fundraising guide as well as sample emails, letters, and social media posts. If you do not meet the fundraising deadline by July 1st, we'll connect with you to talk over your options. But again, this is something that if you do sign on for this, if Hazel does choose you as a part of the team, we will be in such close contact. So you will never feel that you are going it alone or that you are in a space where there are questions that you're not having answered. So if fundraising, if that is something that you're feeling a little bit hesitant about, I will be holding your hand through the whole process.
Okay.
So before I want to talk a little bit more about the physical nature of the hike itself, but I also want to give space if there's any questions that have come up so far already. And you can also feel free to
Hazel,
type
I just had
questions
a
in the chat.
question. I just
Yeah.
had a question about when are you going to make the decisions? Like, when will we know, you think?
So applications are due March 1st, so I will be looking at them right away, and I'm kind of looking at them as they come in, to be honest. And then the interviews will happen the 17th and the 18th. So the goal
Okay.
is that everybody will know whether they're in by April 1st.
Okay.
And sometimes I can let them know sooner than April 1st, but April 1st is the latest.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
Mhm.
And I think we should also mention at this point too that we have Kelly here with us, who is a former hiker. And so you're welcome to ask both Hazel and I questions, but also you can ask Kelly questions too as a former hiker. Thank you, Kelly. Kelly is also a Whirl staff member, so thank you for joining us after work hours.
I have a
You're
quick
quite
question
welcome.
too. So you mentioned the Tunk Mountain pre-hike, I guess I would call it, and I missed the date. When is that going to happen?
July
Uh,
11th.
Thanks, Lizzie.
July 11th. Okay. And
Mhm.
if so, for somebody like me in Vermont, is there an opportunity? I wouldn't be with you, but an opportunity for me to demonstrate another hike closer to me, like one of the New Hampshire 4,000 footers or something like that, which I'm typically doing. Or do I need to be there at the Tunk Mountain hike, or is that something that you and I need to talk about separately?
Well, I have the same question too,
Mhm.
because of the timing and living in New Hampshire. Where I live in New Hampshire, it's 7 to 8 hours
Mhm.
drive.
Yeah.
So
I used to guide in the Whites, so I'm familiar
yeah,
with your area for sure. The goal, there's two parts to this goal.
yeah,
First is for sure to help me and help you assess your capability for it in the moment. The reason I choose Tunk, and I know that there are some similar mountains in New Hampshire, in particular in the Whites, that have a little bit of scramble, but there's some scramble on Tunk that I need to know that people are steady on their feet and able to do, and I want to see them actually deal with those conditions. And so, in an ideal world, everybody is there at Tunk in particular. The second goal, too, is like this is your first time to meet the other hikers together before showing up in Millinocket and like, we're going to do this big, massive mountain. And so last year, it was really love last year was the first year we actually did this training hike requirement component. Prior to that, we hadn't done that. And last year, the folks were like, that was such an important part of it to be able to connect with people. They made connections about carpooling and connecting with each other separately prior to getting up to Millinocket. We did have a few folks from Massachusetts that came last year, and they loved the chance to just like be able to go and have a weekend. And we also sent out ideas for lodging and accommodations in the Tunk area as well to make it easier for you to be able to spend the night because I know it's a haul. But that is the hope is that people will go to
Okay.
that. So we are considering a requirement, but if something comes up for sure, like we can talk it through.
Okay. That sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, I would say that it is like a great time to come up down east. So it's a
Mhm.
perfect opportunity to yeah, to come up to a beautiful part of Maine too.
And my sister lives in Prospect Harbor, so
Ah,
it's
Oh,
perfect.
nice.
so she's right
You
around
know
the
the spot.
corner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. Well, as questions come up, feel free to pop them in the chat or speak up, but I'll go into more about the physical capabilities of Katahdin. So people are always, I think what often unites people who apply to this experience over the past 5 years is not their physical capability or their age or their background or whatever. It's that they want to hike Katahdin and they probably wouldn't do it by themselves for whatever reason, either because of like they want a more social experience or they don't feel really safe or they don't want to like figure out the logistics because there's a lot of logistics like permit and what trail and like where do I stay and how do I get there. And so having the opportunity to do it with a guide eases all of those things and adds a sense of safety and also a sense of community. So the first year we did it and we summited, I had people from their early 20s up to the age of 70 that did that hike. And it was actually somebody represented every decade in between, which was pretty cool. So I've had people at the age of 70 do Katahdin with me. For me, age is less of a concern, and physical capability and mental attitude is more of the concern. The biggest thing to keep in mind is that Katahdin is doing about 8.5 miles in a day, which, if you're talking about like walking down a sidewalk like that, that sounds really easy, but we're talking about 4,000 feet of elevation change. So it is a very strenuous hike, a good amount of which is over a boulder field above tree line. And that is like the elimination zone. It's like it's one thing to kind of be making your way up gradually through the forest, but as soon as you hit that boulder field, if you are scared of heights or you're unsteady on your feet and you're having to like really pick along, you run out of time to be able to achieve the mountain. And so that area can be a big problem for people with any fear of heights or instability and like lack of confidence in their balance in that kind of place. So we do have a video that we can share that gives a fairly good visual of what that boulder field looks like. And so this is up the A-Ball Trail. And so we can share that if you want to even just post that in the chat, Lizzie, right now. That would be awesome. Starting at the 1 minute and 45 second mark. But it's way more intense in person. So like keep that in mind if you are poking around online to like look at videos and photos of Katahdin and of the A-Ball Trail. Like what you see on film is just like nothing compared to reality. And every year people are like, wow, I had no idea this was going to be this intense, no matter how much research they've done consistently, no matter their age, no matter their background. People are always like, yeah, you said it was really intense, but I really didn't believe you until I got there. So I really want to highlight that because it's a lot. And I think I have guided in the Tetons, I've guided in the Whites, I've worked in the Sierra Nevadas and Katahdin. And as like a Mainer and who like loves Katahdin, Katahdin is different. Like Katahdin is special and different in a really intense way that I think people really underestimate, especially if you've done a lot in other mountain ranges. And so I think, especially because it's our biggest mountains and our other mountains aren't that big, it is unique. So I think that's a really important thing to just keep in mind and be humbled by as part of the experience. Um, and so part of this application process, like I mentioned, is getting a real feel for you individually. Like already in the application process, you're sort of answering like what you do, what your normal routine is, that kind of thing. But by being able to kind of talk to you and get a better feel for that, that's important for me. And yeah, so that's part of the deal. So I encourage folks to like look at the trail map and like look at videos and photos with like a grain of salt for like how that looks on the internet. Um, and I'm very happy to take any questions about that and what the experience is like. So that's all I have for now, officially written in our Google Doc. Oh, we have some pictures we can show, Lizzie, right? Do you want to
Yep.
share your screen to show those? And
Yes,
if
I
folks have
do.
questions, we can take them.
Is there a wait list in, so say you've chosen your ten participants. And is there a wait list in the sense of if someone hasn't been able to do the fundraising, or if, somebody gets injured, beforehand, or what happens if you decide during that shakedown hike that it's not going to work out? Do you have a wait list?
Depends on the year and how many applicants we get.
Okay.
So, yeah, so if we get a lot of applicants, we may end up with a wait list, but yeah, but it depends. It kind of depends on
Okay.
how that looks and if yeah, because the fundraising component is part of it. So just like swapping
Sure.
someone in for the hike at the last minute doesn't
Right.
give them the same kind of experience as somebody else who like spent all this time fundraising. So there are kind of timelines in how we would allow for that swap in
Okay.
kind of a thing. Yeah. So these are just a few photos from years past. These are, I think we just have like 5 or 6 photos here. So this is the point where like we are not quite into the boulder field. This is usually our break. I think this is about 2 hours in, if I remember correctly. It's usually a spot that we have a snack, kind of refuel a little bit, and then keep going. And where they're pointing is not the top. So, and so I think that's like the first moment where you can kind of look and be like, whoa, we're going up there. And I'm like, yes, but actually it's a lot farther and higher than that. It's just hidden. So a little bit of a false summit moment, but it's an exciting moment too, because then on the way down, you're like, wait, I was up there. So that's kind of that's a fun spot to look at. This is once you're up in the boulder field. So you can kind of get a sense for like you're in the clouds often. You see all these cool dwarf black spruce and like very cool alpine plants. And you just feel like you're at the top of the world really early. This is more of the boulder field, so you can kind of see like that's me in the back there on top of a rock that I did have to like climb up and over. And I'm 5'2", so like I am on my hands and knees a lot in the boulder field to just like get up and over things. People who have longer legs can like have an easier time, but whatever. I like climbing, I like crawling around. And so you can see like one of the reasons that I picked A-Ball, the first year we did, we went up the Cathedral Trail and down Saddle Trail. If folks are at all familiar with Katahdin trails, the reason I switched to A-Ball is that the consequence is lower for if you fall. So on that other end, it's like if you're falling, you're gonna get pretty hurt. But on A-Ball, there's a lot of places to sit and walk, and there's no like big drop-offs that are really, really scary. Like it's still like mind over matter and it is risky, but not to the level that any other trail is on Katahdin. This is the easiest one. And so yeah, so you are doing some scrambling. So this is you kind of get a sense for that here. This is another spot in the boulder field. You can see like the woman who has her hands on the ground. And that's because it is really steep here, and you're often using your hands on a lot of the boulder field to just give yourself balance and just like extra points of contact. Same kind of deal here. A lot of hands. Some people like bringing gloves to just like protect their hands. I've never done that, but some people really like that.
And I think that's it.
Yeah, cool. Questions,
Mhm.
thoughts? I will highlight that like Katahdin is such a special and moving experience. Like no matter how many times I do it, whether it's for work or for myself, um, I always feel really moved during and after. It's a really sacred space, both to Indigenous people, but also like others around the world that come and go to this very special mountain that just so happens to geologically, it's a monadnock. So you New Hampshire folks know Mount Monadnock. It is a geological term that really speaks to just like a mountain that is taller than the rest by a lot. And there are geological reasons for that, which we'll talk about if you come. But it's kind of special to recognize how unique and the interesting cultural history of the mountain, the incredible ecological history. Like there is a species of butterfly that lives only on the summit of Katahdin and nowhere else on this planet. It's endemic to the mountain. I, as a person who's such a naturalist, like get so stoked and amazed by the alpine plants that can only live so high up and are really threatened by climate change. And so it's a really unique and special place, unlike anywhere else on this planet. And so it's such an opportunity to dig into a place like that and challenge yourself physically. So I love it, and I am a believer that a lot of people can do it. It's just a matter of your mind, and it's a matter of time. And so the hardest thing is I always plan on it being a 12-hour hike, and I'm really good at calculating. Usually I can tell 3 hours in whether we're going to make it to the summit and back or not, given the group's pace. And so that's something I'm always calculating and really aware of. And so it's big. So even if you could like go at this a little slow pace forever, it's like if it gets dark, like you got to be done. So that is one of the things that's a challenge about it is just having the time for your capability. But usually it's an average of 12 hours for groups to be able to do it.
I would also hop in. This is my now third year as in the sort of base camp role, and so I will be making meals for you guys Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night, Sunday morning. Something I think that I have noticed doing this for a number of years in a row now. Sure, we're talking about a very strenuous, physically and mentally taxing experience going up a mountain. Also, what I consistently hear in feedback from hikers is that this is an opportunity to be consistently cared for over a weekend, which I think is something as grown-ups that we don't always get. We're busy, we're women, we're caring for others likely. And so it's also an opportunity to step outside, the demands and confines and cares of your regular life, take a moment for yourself, to experience something that is really impactful, and so I think that that's also something that I'd like to make sure to highlight, as we're talking about the mountain and the boulders. There's also, this is a big weekend for people. If you do end up coming, I guarantee that you will go away from the weekend feeling changed by the experience.
I think that's a really good highlight. There is this nurturing. I think it's also for me, like as a person who loves outdoor adventure, for me, it's a self-care, not in a like, I did this epic strenuous thing. Like that's never what I'm outside for. And people who've ever been on experiences with me know that. Like I am happy to go slow and poke around at mushrooms and stuff like that along the way. For me, it's not the strenuous, like I'm not there for like bag and peace. Like that's not where I come at it from. I'm there for like just the connection with place and it's hard. And so like that's a cool side effect that I can also like challenge myself physically, but that's not my number one reason for being there. And so I think that nurturing level, that like allowing nature to be nurturing and your body to like let you know what amazing things you're capable of, and have Lizzie grow all this amazing food for us at her farm and like cook incredible meals and just feel so taken care of for the whole weekend is a really lovely, special thing. And the kind of connection you get with other people through that journey is different than any other kind of connection with people that you get, because you share this like really immersive, meaningful, moving experience together. So I love it. I look forward to it every year. And yeah, thanks for highlighting that nurturing piece, Lizzie. I'm noticing in the chat there's a question about my thoughts on a training schedule routine. So what I always say when people ask me about this is cardio, cardio, cardio. Feel really confident in your ability to get your heart rate up, and those zones of exercise like I forget. I'm like, what are they? Zone one, zone two. There's like the zone where you're going so hard that you can't maintain a conversation because it's just so hard. Then there's zone two, which is kind of the sweet spot where it's like it's hard. You can say a few sentences at a time, and but it's something you can maintain versus anything less than that, where you're just like easily able to have a normal like conversation forever. Like that's not enough. So that's a way that I try to think about it is like you should be regularly doing activities where it's hard enough that you couldn't be talking the whole time. That level of cardio, I think I've especially noticed for folks who don't do a lot of cardio in their day-to-day life, when they do get their heart rate up, it's like, ooh, this is scary. Maybe it shouldn't be up that high. So really pushing yourselves, like if you go to a gym or like have a class training or like an exercise specialist in your life, I think it's really good to work with them to help them help you understand what threshold is okay. Because we can actually push ourselves a lot harder than I think we can. And so getting really confident with your cardio capability is really important. And so things like running is great, bicycling, and particularly for Katahdin, like we're taking big steps. So it's like the quads, the squats, like hiking is doing squats the whole time. That's what hiking is. Like when you are going, like those are those muscles. So if you're doing like that's hiking up a mountain is like you're doing squats over and over again. So I think that's another way of thinking about it. I know folks who like just walking around or doing like tiny little mountains isn't enough. And so if you are living in a landscape where like getting elevation is hard for you, like this area, I live in Surrey in the Blue Hill area, like our mountains are really tiny. I can get up them in 10 minutes. And so rucking now is kind of popular where you like fill your bag with rocks and like use that on your walk. Weight vests you can buy. I recommend if not filling your bag with rocks, somebody mentioned like on bio bricks because they also float, so they're just as heavy, but if you like fell like off a bridge, you wouldn't sink to the bottom. Like something to think about. But adding weight and like resistance to regular things like your dog walk is a really good way of doing that. So cardio is number one, but then the second thing is can you get to a scramble? Like where near you has like a boulder scramble, precipitous sides, like where you're kind of hands and knees to really assess your balance and technical skills because this is like half like cardio, half like technical comfort. And I think especially as we get older, like our confidence in ourselves because we're afraid of falling, right? Like every year we get older, the more sketched out we get by the prospect of falling and what that could mean for us. And so getting comfortable in your body and what it can do in an unsteady situation is really, really important for this.
I wonder, since we have this wonderful opportunity to hear from a former hiker, if there is
Mhm.
anything, if there's anything you'd like to share, Kelly, anything that, on the other side of it that maybe yeah, any insights.
Sure, sure. I'm taking myself off mute. Um, Letting my other half know because he's in here banging around on the bookcase. Hi, everyone. So, I mean, I've been listening to Lizzie and Hazel, and so many things have been running through my mind. It'll be 2 years ago that I did this hike. Um, and so just to kind of echo what you've already heard and what you've been told, it it is a wonderful weekend. It is, I'm so glad you mentioned the restorative part, Lizzie, because you do feel very supported. Um, Obviously, it's critical to feel supported on the mountain itself. And Hazel is absolutely fantastic at what she does. And to echo that sentiment, one of the reasons I felt comfortable giving this a try, because I have not hiked something like Katahdin previously in my life, is because we were going with Hazel, and a right-hand person. There's a level of comfort and safety there that, at least for me, was very important. Um, and Lizzie, you know how much I love you, and you cook the most fabulous meals. So you really do feel taken care of. I would say from a training perspective, I felt like I went at it pretty good. Um, I was fortunate enough to have my husband who supported me in this and went on hikes with me. And I also have friends in the area that would go out with me. And so um, I did a lot of hiking between April and the time of Katahdin, including Catherine Mountain, which I know is a smaller one. But I did Tunk a couple of times too. And so I had the advantage there of practicing like Hazel said. I will be honest and say the one thing I probably didn't do enough was the cardio. I rather would get out and be on a trail than hop on my exercise bike at home and pedal away. So I would tell all of you, listen to Hazel a teeny bit more on that aspect of it. Um, and then is there anything else? Any questions? Or Lizzie, do you have something in mind that you wanted me to touch on?
No, I
Oh, the
think,
fundraising piece.
oh, yeah.
So that came relatively easy to me. And I think part of it, if you're on social media, um, that's where I did a lot of my fundraising. I posted pictures of myself before or after each hike, maybe after, and I held up like, this is hike number 5, this is hike number, whatever. Um, and maybe not on every post, but on a lot of them, I would just remind people what I was hiking for, and I'd put the link in there. And I have friends from all different states and people that donated that I wasn't even anticipating. So I do think it's important to keep yourself in front of people and however you feel comfortable reaching out. But there's a lot of people, I think, that want to support the good in the world, and this is an opportunity for them to do so. So it's not that scary to do the fundraising, really, even if you haven't done it before.
Those are just wonderful things to highlight, Kelly. And I think something that Kelly did very well too is that she started immediately fundraising and posting.
Mhm.
You know, I think that sometimes people can get tripped up by waiting a little bit too long, and then there's that stress of like you have, your time is dwindling. But really, if that's it's a long enough window, to have kind of consistent reach outs, that, if you start right at it, then you'll be totally fine. So yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that, Kelly. And I think I'll also say too that another thing that Kelly did very well is set up systems of accountability for herself, with friends, with her husband. Any systems you can put into place for integrating kind of a new or maybe kind of continuing your consistent exercise regimen. That accountability is crucial as you're moving towards, this big goal. And it's a nice opportunity to hang out with friends, to hang out with your loved
Mhm.
ones, and to have fun in the outdoors.
It really was. It was kind of a who wants to hike Kelly this week, take Kelly along. Um, but yeah, a lot of good memories. Both the hike itself on Katahdin, but like you said, Lizzie, even the prep for it. A lot of good memories there.
Thank you,
I
Kelly.
do think often the folks who end up wanting to come in addition to just like I wouldn't do it by myself and I want like this kind of social aspect is folks who are like I might not be able to do it tomorrow, but I can do it in 3 or 4 months. Because you have 3 months. Like you're gonna have April, May, and June to raise the money and get ready. And 3 months is a pretty good chunk of time, but there's also like an end, you know? It's not like too long. It's like, oh, I'll do it later, but it's not too short that's unreasonable to like get ready. And so I feel like it is actually a really great, beautiful chunk of 3 months to really just like double down and whatever your goals are, physically. Like this is an excuse to like get ready in whatever that means for you. And I think that's really exciting. And it's nice, like, yeah, accountability, like we all know, like is an important thing. So like having a deadline, having a benchmark, I think is part of what really makes this extra motivating for folks because it's something you're really working towards.
Any other questions coming up as we're covering some ground?
I will say, for what it's worth, for people I've even mentioned that I'm considering this and have told them what the cause is, I have gotten nothing but let me know when you do it because
Yeah.
I'd love to contribute. And so that was really heartening to hear that people really believe in this kind of cause.
That's great. And I think something that before I started in this role 3 years ago, peer-to-peer fundraising was new for me too. And so I've done a lot of learning through this process. And I think just across the board, thinking about this kind of fundraising as giving people an opportunity, as Kelly mentioned, to support something that's really good. There's no ulterior motives here. It's supporting nurses in Washington and Hancock counties, and so I think that, people are people are looking for a door to be able to open, to do a good thing. And I think that this is an opportunity for you to give them that door, which I think people appreciate, And so I think that fundraising, even though it sounds really scary, can actually be something that's really rich and interesting. And to Kelly's point, I think too, you'll get people reaching out to you out of the woodwork, who you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this person, gave $20. Like that's so nice. So I think it's also a space to be reminded of, the goodness in your networks too, and that kind of expansive feeling is really rich and nice.
I will highlight the fundraising like handbook that Whirl puts together for this is gold. Like the templates that Lizzie mentioned, and like every year they get even better because it's like, oh, this was more helpful for this person, and we tweak this. But like the templates for all the kinds of posts and outreach that you might do, and like all the recommendations make it unbelievably simple for people, and it's just like easy to just like drag and drop and modify to you as desired. And so like that is a huge opportunity and offering that World provides as part of this, of just like really babysitting folks along the way to like make it really successful for them and have it be a fun time, not like I have to ask for money. Like it's actually it seems like it's a fun thing for people to do through the support that World gives. So I think that's really nice.
And I think
Can
I
you
should
all give,
also, oh yeah,
oh,
go ahead, Carolyn.
can you all give me the name of the lodge again?
Yes, it's the Big Moose Inn and Campgrounds, and it's the Katahdin House.
Okay. And do you know, is there a potential opportunity to camp on either end of that and extend the stay, and not necessarily as part of the group, but
Great
just because we
question.
happen to be there and and
Great question.
okay.
I
I'm so
might do
glad.
that, Carolyn.
What's that?
I said I might do that, Carolyn.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the where we stay, like it is like inn and lodge and cabins and campground, but it is a campground too. So like you could choose to stay right there, but there's other places that you can camp in the area, both in and outside of the park. The catch is if you want to stay in the park, pay attention to April 1st as an important date. I need to check again because they sometimes change some of their deadlines around now for when things open. But things that are in the park, book up early. So if that's something that you want to do, you want to book it really early. Other options outside of the park, like in Millinocket, there are some more front country campground kind of scenarios that are still like within a half hour of like getting into the park gates. Those ones are more flexible as you go, but anything in the park you do want to book in advance. And anything in the park is pretty rustic, like there isn't running water. There's
Yeah,
like
that's fine.
outhouses
That's
and stuff
yeah,
like that. Yeah.
that's not but it's just like as long as I'm there and I've made the trek, and it'd
Yeah.
be great to extend it on one side or the other, just to
hmm
have an opportunity to explore the area a bit.
Yeah. I'd so encourage that because it's like every year I do Catan and I'm like, I've got to go do other things. And there's so much going on. Like Catan's amazing, but then like any other mountain is amazing because you get to look at Catan. And there's like all these, it's beautiful. Baxter's a beautiful place. You could spend every day there for the rest of your life and never get bored. So
Just out of curiosity, where in Blue Hill are you?
I'm in Surrey, so I'm just
Oh, you're in
across.
Surrey?
I'm
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
on I'm on Toddy Pond Road. Yeah.
Okay. We're in Brooklyn. My family is on the
Oh,
other
nice,
side.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Patty.
question, Patty.
Also in Brooklyn. Hello, Carolyn.
Oh.
Wow, we're in Brooklyn.
We can hike together. We can like do this.
Yeah, I'm only in Brooklyn. I'm only in Brooklyn July and August though, because otherwise I'm in Vermont. But yeah,
Well, we don't
definitely
hike until July 31st, so there's
true
some
that.
time in
Yeah.
July, early July.
there. Any
Patty, where in Brooklyn are you?
Road
Brooklyn Road?
on back road.
Oh, and Back Road. Oh
Mhm.
yeah. Excellent. Wow. I walk there all the time. That's
That's
awesome.
See, this is what happens, everybody. There's all these fun connections.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What is it like when you go up because of hiking in the Whites? Um, I'm fortunate. I can go during a weekday. You know, I can pick my weather. I can, you know, with the 10-day outlook and I can pick this, that, and the other. Um, what is it like to go up Katahdin on a weekend in the middle of summer? Is it limited to the amount of people that can be on the trail, or is it like Mount Washington that you get up to the top of it and there's the Cog Railway, there's the other roads, there's all this other things going on, and I mean, it can be yeah, it can be a different experience.
Absolutely. Yeah, having I used to work at a Pinkham Notch, and so
Oh.
I've hiked Mount Washington. I know
Yeah.
all about that. And I was like, whoa, this was both like not that hard and also like very intense at the top. There is no road up Katahdin.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's a big one, or a railway. What's nice in Baxter is that it is limited. So it's limited
Okay.
by parking spaces. And
Okay.
so there are three trailheads for Katahdin. A-Ball is one of them, which we'll be going out of. And that's why Lizzie and I will book. And if when I interview you, I will ask for your like license plate information because we need a few cars to get us there. Um, but we get those parking permits on April 1st, so that it's like we need three cars to have a parking spot at the A-Ball trailhead for this date.
Yeah.
And they have a finite number of those, which is nice. So it does limit how many people they allow in Katahdin. There's group size limits as well, which is why our group size is what it is we try to max it out. And it can be busy, but it's not like White's busy. It's not like Mount Washington busy because like when people come, they want to hike Katahdin. They want to hike it in the summertime. Like there's only a few, weekends of the year when people would picture it being amazing, though I am going to hike Katahdin the first weekend of March. Um, and I'm gonna try it in the winter, guys. We'll see how that goes. Um,
Adventures.
yeah, some little adventures coming up. But yeah, I think being able to I think also in a group, we get passed a lot just because, like, a group, no matter
Yeah.
how capable, is
Yeah.
slower just because it's a group. And so, but then people all kind of fall into their own pace. So you're not like being really followed by people a lot. Interestingly, a lot of people this past year, though we did it a weekend later this past year, August 10th or whatever, we encountered a lot of people finishing the AT through hikers
Okay.
that had
Yeah.
just finished,
Yeah.
which was really cool. So,
Yeah.
we got to see that happening. We each year we've seen people finish
Oh, good. Yeah.
the AT, which is cool. So yeah, it is not, but it's not like Acadia. It's never gonna be like Acadia. It's never gonna be like Mount Washington. Like it's busy from like our perspective, like as people who like having quiet
Yeah.
hikes, but it's really
Yeah.
not. It's really not like it's
Yeah.
not to most people. It's not that busy. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that what made me think about or when it came up is on one of the things that I was going over. It was talking to somebody that was just finishing the AT, and he's like, "And you
Hmm.
get to the top, and there's hundreds of people there." Well, probably if that's what you've been doing for 6 months, that's probably what it seems like in the middle of a summer day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Susan, your point is really well taken because there are times at this point where I won't even go into the Whites just
Yeah.
because it's so busy on the
Yeah.
weekend. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
No, and it can change the experience, I think. Or
Hmm.
are we just, we just have that opportunity to go when we want to. And so
Hmm.
that, I mean, that's different too.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Nicole, you've
I have
got a
one
question.
question, Lizzie. I do. Well, barely. You guys have covered everything I would have wanted to know. So thanks for being so thorough. Um, about the fundraising, how does the money flow? Is it people make donations into what kind of an account? And then are we responsible for getting that to Whirl?
Yeah, great question. So we use GiveButter. I don't know if anyone has had experience with GiveButter before. It's a fundraising platform. So through this experience, you'll be creating a GiveButter page, and it is through the Summit for a Cause team. So there's going to be a team, and then you'll each have a personal profile, and so people can I think the easiest really is people can just donate directly through GiveButter, and then that just goes right to Whirl. People can also donate through checks if they would prefer. That can also be just mailed directly to Whirl, and then we, assign it to the appropriate team member. But really, we recommend that people use just the GiveButter platform as much as possible, just because it is so, it's set up for things like this, and so it makes it really easy.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good question.
And Nicole, just to follow up on that, when I said I put the link like right in my social media post when I did it, that's what I was talking about. It was my GiveButter link, and it just people can click and donate with their credit card, and I never had to worry about it. So it's super easy, and Lizzie provides all that in the fundraising packet, so it was super easy to do.
It's awesome. And I love your idea about posting all your training hikes and holding up signs or giving, an accounting of what you're doing. I'd love to do it that way. Thanks for the idea.
Yeah, you're welcome. Quick story on that. So I forget what hike it was, but it was more than 10 because I needed more hands to tell me what number of hike. And this was one that I had done myself. I didn't have anyone with me on this. And when I got to the ranger station, I just kind of shouted out, "Hey, anybody, I'm doing fundraising for this hike and I'm preparing Katahdin. Anybody want to take a photo with me? It's hike number 12. I need 2 more fingers or something." And a couple people looked at me like I just landed from outer space, but there was one lady who was like, "Sure, I'll do it." And she walks up and she's, peace out. Yeah, it was really a cool experience. So
Oh, that's a great story, Kelly. I feel like I'd also like to mention too something that really struck me about last year's team, because certainly every year different things come up on the mountain. The group is different. You'll encounter different things. One thing that really struck me that hikers mentioned when they kind of came back to base camp was how many other hikers they assisted on the trail, because that is how prepared you will be through everything that Hazel puts out. So your pack lists, your supply lists, the night before, Hazel will go through your pack to make sure you have everything. And I'm talking about things like, a couple who like didn't have water or maybe had like a third of a bottle left, or not enough food, perhaps a late medical emergency that this team
We might have saved
in.
some lives. Yeah. That was a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was wild. I
Which I
will say
think,
there was this one wild man who was like, "Oh, I had like a layover in Bangor, and so I thought that like I would just
yeah.
rent a car and go to Baxter and hike Katahdin." So he was like wearing this like white button-up shirt with like jeans and like had like a I don't know, like it was like not quite a briefcase, but like he was on a business trip and that's what he had. And he literally just like landed, drove to Millinocket, hiked Katahdin. The annoying thing is that he succeeded at it, you know? Like, I mean, like good for him, but like bad role model. He was being a bad role model. But yeah, he was one of the people that were like, "Can we give you some water?" So yeah, that is also part of the kind of amazing experience. And so many of the hikers last year for this, like in our team, ended up meeting up afterwards for like other hikes. Even though they were kind of scattered from like across New England, folks were like, "I'm doing a 4,000 footer in New Hampshire. Who wants to come?" Somebody hosted out in Lubeck at her house for folks to come out, and so they've continued to stay in touch and connect with each other, which is really sweet. So some new like long-lasting friendships were really forged during that last year.
And that actually begs the question I had, sort of what Patty brought to mind. For who is ever chosen for the team, will we have contact information for each other for the possibility of connecting prior and, doing training hikes or, getting together and just meeting people before the Tunk one as well? Is that going to be an opportunity to have contact information of the other team members?
Definitely.
Yes, and we also do a couple of Zoom meet and greets. So knowing that folks are pretty scattered, we want to make sure that folks do have like face-to-face time like this, And those are actually, they're structured. So we have some like a little bit of team building, but also like prep work and like Q&A and stuff as things are trucking along. And so those happen, which is another way to connect with people. And then whatever you want to do beyond that is up to you.
Yeah, we welcome it. Any kind of team building you can be doing, before the hike. I mean, it just serves you and the team on the hike. Yeah. Oh, that's nice, Patty. It's already happening. Well, we're coming right on up to the end. We've just got a couple of minutes. Certainly space for another probably single question. But Hazel and I, our contact information, I'll send it out. I welcome questions after the fact, if something comes to mind. Yeah. Any other questions?
Good.
Great. Well, lovely conversations, everyone. Thank you so much for your insightful questions. I'm really glad that we got a chance to chat, and
Well,
certainly
Leslie, thank you for doing this. It makes it nice to have the face-to-face, and even if we're just in the very preliminary part of it, it's just even just fun finding out about it and everything. I had a woman that I hike with, and we met up on Tuesday, and then we met up again today just for some snowshoeing. She got out of the car and she gave me this Baxter State Park map because she had gone to REI on her way home, and she's like, "You could do this. I know you could do this." And it's like, 'cause I'm just at that point of like, could I do it? Could I actually do it? So it was so much fun to have her. And she's 78, and she's like, "No, I got you this map, and so you can look at it." So it was really sweet. You talk about people wanting to know, and being excited about it. So that's my story.
Oh, it's a nice one,
Sweet.
Susan.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. All right, everyone. Well, I'll end our little recording because I think that we are just about done for the evening. Again, thank you all so much for spending the time with us. I think that yeah, it's a great way to great way to spend an evening.
Excellent question. Where's the application? You maybe put the link in somewhere, and I just want to make sure I find it.
Yeah, so I'll send out a follow-up email tomorrow, and that will have everything. So I'll also link to the video that I put in the chat too, that Hazel mentioned too. It's a really nice video. It's through Bangor Daily News, just to going up and down the A-Ball Trail. So I'll send out some follow-up resources. Certainly, we're still in the window for applications. So if you have people in your life, who haven't, they haven't applied or they've been thinking about it, now is the time to share widely. If there's folks in your life who you're like, maybe this is something they would be interested in, please, send them my way, send them the application. We'd love to see them apply. All right.
Thank you. This has been great.
Well, thanks again, everyone. Oh, thank you, Hazel. That's great. So that's in the chat. That's
Took
just
me a minute, but I got it.
Nice.